Good morning and welcome to Unity of Huntsville. Unity of Huntsville is an inclusive, compassionate community that supports the realization of our divine potential, the awakening of our hearts, and healing through interactive learning, practice, and service. Today is a special day at Unity of Huntsville, at least for me, because we have Armand and Angelina joining us to provide a musical message that promises to be spiritual as well as funny. So I hope you enjoy and are inspired by this service today. Armand is an award-winning songwriter and inspirational speaker whose enthusiastic presence inspires us all to love life passionately. Angelina's angelic and heart-opening voice draws from many languages. She was classically trained at Indiana University and was formerly with the Epcot Center. They are international performers using songs, stories, and humor to remind us now, to open our hearts and remember that we are meant to experience heaven on earth. And now, if you would, please join me as we affirm together our opening statement. There is only one presence and one power in my life and the universe, God. And now I'd like to read for you from the Daily Word. The Daily Word is a publication of Unity World Headquarters. And the word of the day today is healing. And the affirmation is, taking good care of myself supports my healing. And the message is, sometimes it's hard to say no to friends, family, work, church, or volunteer organizations I care about and want to serve. But when I am overextended and depleted, I don't do my best, and I may put my emotional, physical, or mental health at risk. Taking on too much and saying yes to every request may be a sign there is something deeper within me that is out of alignment and in need of healing. Perhaps I am feeling fear of judgment or a reluctance to disappoint someone. I heal when I slow down, pray, and welcome God's grace. I treat myself gently and make time for relaxation a priority. Secure in divine love, I know when to say yes, or, for my well-being, to kindly but confidently say no, not this time. And the scripture is from Psalms 103, verses 2 to 3. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and do not forget all his benefits, who forgives all your iniquity, who heals all your diseases. And the affirmation of the day is, taking good care of myself supports my healing. And the word of the day today is healing. And now I give the floor to Armand and Angelina. Please give them a warm welcome to Unity of Huntsville.
Thank you. I think that daily word was for me this
It was for
morning.
us. Anybody else?
Yeah.
I've seen healing as the daily word a lot, but I never heard it target me quite with that.
Exactly.
One time, Angelina told me, she said, Armand, even God rested once a week, because I have trouble. And I would like to add to that daily word. One of the other challenges that cause us not to rest and take care of ourselves is FOMO, which is fear of missing out. And I have a real strong FOMO, and we both do that sometimes, where we can do this, and we can see that person, we can play that thing, and we watch that movie, and oh my goodness, guess what's happening over here? And FOMO wants to take precedent over everything, and we both have suffered being exhausted
Yes.
in ways like that. By the way, this may not look like a huge crowd, but this is a magic crowd.
Because it's okay to say no.
It's okay to say no. She says, Armand,
You want to do it and you want to have fun, but sometimes you got to say no.
but we have 13 people right this moment, which is a super powerful number.
Yeah.
It's going to even get bigger, but 13 is a powerful number. We always say once there's 13 people in a place, magic starts happening right there. Boom. Doesn't say we're 13 or more are gathered in my name. It doesn't say that. But anyway, we do feel that. So raise your hand if you're seeing us today for the very first time. Okay, most of you. Okay, we haven't been here for way too long, and that won't ever happen again. But that crazy little thing called the Great Pause kept us away. And we were delighted when we reconnected and found out Dean was here and invited us back. We also, I was hoping to see Richard McKay, and I understand he made his transition very recently. He and I stayed in contact together on email and things like that every now and then. He would send me some of his work, and I would send him stuff. So we met many, many years ago here and stayed kind of connected. Richard, with the song Heart Song, I think is what his email was saying. Music Man, Richard Music. So anyway, I was asking about him this morning. So we know you're here with us enjoying this program today. So we're going to start off with, hello, wonderful people. Dear, beautiful friends of ours, of course, you all know everybody, Carol and Michael with us today. And Carol painted a portrait of Angelina, and it's magical in our music room, and it's really, really beautiful. So we're going to start off with a joy song. And this is a song that was inspired by a movie called The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. Anybody see that movie? If you remember The Young Innkeeper, a very positive, very metaphysical, very spiritual movie. And people would come to this hotel and they would complain about things. And he would always say the same thing. Everything would be okay in the end. And they'd say, yeah, but right this moment, what's happening is not okay. He goes, oh, it's not the end. And so that was, to me, his way of saying everything's in divine order. You know, to me, that was a unity principle. And so we would use that with each other when we would get stressed out. And it was a great reminder. And we hope that that'll be a little reminder for you to say that whenever it feels like it's not ever going to get past that point. It's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay to feel the non-okayness of the moment, but also to revert to the idea that it's all going to be okay in the end, to help you have as much grace while you're dealing with whatever you're dealing with. And so then we would say it to each other, and then one day I started singing it, and before we knew it, we had a song. And if we dance and sing it, then you're praying 3 times. So this is Everything Will Be Okay in the End. We put it to a little island reggae calypso kind of beat to give it more of that Irie, don't worry, be happy kind of jive. Okay. So very easy. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Here we go. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Nothing in this universe will ever last. So if you're feeling low, this too shall pass. Nothing in this universe will ever last. So if you're feeling low, this too shall pass. Because everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. We're gonna sha-la-la-la. Sha-la-la-la-la. Sha-la-la-la-la-la. Every happy song needs some sha-la-la-la-las in it. Sha-la-la-la-la. Sha-la-la-la-la-la. Even when the darkness seems to hide your way, after every night, a brand new day. Even when the darkness seems to hide your way, after every night, a brand new day. A brand new day. A sunny Huntsville day. Oh yeah. Woo. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Just the audience. They got it. It's not the end. Let's go ahead and sha-la-la-la-la. Sha-la-la-la-la. Sha-la-la-la-la-la. Sha-la-la-la-la. Sha-la-la-la-la-la. Okay, here comes the tricky part, Unity people. Even when it all just seems to go your way, don't get attached. It's gonna change. even when it all just seemed to go your way. No matter how many times you saw The Secret, it's still gonna change. That's okay, because everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. It's not the end. It's not the end. So if you don't like the weather, wait 2 days. It's not the end. It's not the end. If you can't believe all they talk about on the news or politics, it's not the end. It's not the end. It's not the end. But this is the end of the song. Thank you. So, wow, we're going to have as much fun as we possibly can. We're going to go into a meditation at this time. We'll start off with a very simple chant. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. And then we'll move into a musical and guided meditation as well. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. And we invite you to breathe that peace. Breathe it in to every cell of your body and release it to the world. Breathing in more peace, more love, more healing. Breathing out and sharing that peace and love and healing with the world. Breathing in more authenticity and breathing out and releasing all that no longer serves us. As we quiet the mind, we open up more clearly to the still small voice of God, reminding us that we are peace, we are innocent, we are divine, holy, perfect children of God. Reminding us that God is balance, and that each time we find more balance, we are more healed. allow the music now to take you on your very own sacred journey into the peace and healing of spirit. Allow yourself to melt into the silence. Very gently now, begin to bring your attention back to your physical body, this sacred sanctuary where we come to remember the truth of who we are and to remind each other to be present to this sacred, holy now moment, right here, right now, where the peace of God resides. Thank you, Great Spirit. And so it is. Amen. All is well. All is well. God is balanced. All is well. There's perfection everywhere. All is well. And so it is. Amen.
All right. We are so happy to be here. And our talk today is titled, I Now Pronounce You Not Guilty. And we will be talking about our innocence, our lovability, and our worthiness.
Yes. It's weird that we have to talk about those things because they're just isnesses. However, we get distracted by life and are detoured away from those truths. So we're finding as many ways as we can to get back on track with the truth of who we are, which is innocent, beautiful, sacred, holy, wonderful children of God. It's all kind of like revolves around the same idea of oneness and perfection, but we hit it from so many different angles that we can get past any roadblocks that other people, or even worse, our inner neurotic, has put there to keep us from remembering our beauty and our lovability. So we'll be talking a lot about that today. So I don't know about you, but one of the first things I heard growing up, going to church, was, you were born in original sin. Anybody ever hear that? Dr. Phil would say, how's that working for you? It just seems so counterintuitive to me that Spirit would birth us in sin. It just makes no sense to me. But I heard it. I never understood it. On some level, I believed it. But on a deeper level, something always felt off. And I ended up at Unity Church in 1984, and somebody said, just so you know, you were born, I go, oh, not again, as an original blessing. And I heard that, and I was like, yeah, that feels right to me.
A lot better, right?
A lot better.
A lot better.
Yes, absolutely. Upgrade. That goes to 11. Yeah, right. So that was just one of the many things that I found starting off in Unity that were empowering and made me feel good. You know, people, when they found out what I did for a living, I started in 1997 going to churches and being a speaker and things. And they would say, well, what kind of places let you speak? And I said, well, it's New Thought churches, mostly Unity churches around the country. And they go, oh, Unity. I heard about that group. That's one of those feel-good churches. I go, yeah, it is a feel-good church. Where do you go? Someplace makes you feel like crap? And they were like, yeah, pretty much, you know. So yeah, it's almost like you're not allowed to feel good when you're talking about the thing that is the most good about you, which is your spirit, God, connected self. Hello. So it's, yeah, we all have those stories, some kind of versions of that. Angelina and I both grew up in Catholicism. We're actually 3/4 Catholic. And what I love about Unity is it's not an exclusive philosophy, it's inclusive. So wherever you went before, whatever you got there that works for you, you keep that and you bring it in. And maybe you'll get new empowered ways of looking at some of the same teachings that you resonate with that didn't always make you feel good. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about all kinds of ways the ego has tried to distract us from the beauty and the truth that we are.
Right. Does Unity teach us about limitations?
Unity does not really teach about limitations because we're unlimited beings. However, there is a limitation. No matter how hard you try, no matter how many books you read, no matter how many things you do, it's impossible for you to be unlovable. Who's tried? We've all done a few things. We thought, this will do it.
Will you say that again? Because that was so good.
It is impossible for you to be unlovable. Impossible. So that's that. It's important to know that. So when the ego, or I like to call it the inner neurotic, tries to tell me there's something wrong with me, I will say, thank you for sharing. A part of me believes that, but a bigger part of me knows my truth. It's impossible for me to be unlovable. Now, is it possible for me to do unskillful, unkind things where I need to make amends? Absolutely. But that's different. That's a lovable person making amends for doing something silly. It's a big difference. We saw a movie on Apple TV a few years ago, and nobody I know has seen the movie, but it's called The Sky is Everywhere. Has anybody ever heard of it? It's sort of a coming-of-age kind of movie where a young lady, her older sister that was her idol, she looked up to, she was everything to her, passed away. And the kid fell apart. She did not know how to survive without her sister. And as a result of it, she wasn't being nice to people because she was angry. You know, why'd you take my best friend away from me, my teacher, my mentor, the most important person in my life? This is not fair. And we've all had those moments where we felt that way. And she did some really mean things to some of her friends, just out of frustration. You know, when people are drowning, they splash water. They're not necessarily trying to get you wet, but they're drowning and you get wet. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But she went to her uncle, who was kind of a unity guy, played by Jason Segel. And we think he was kind of a unity kind of philosophy. He was like a cool kind of hippie uncle. And she went to him. She says, I did something really, really bad. And she felt safe that she could tell him. She said, I did something really, really bad, really bad. And he goes, I don't even need to know what it is, but I'm going to give you some advice. And she goes, oh, God, what? Don't do it again. And I think that's kind of spirit. God, I really, really slipped up. I sinned. I missed the mark. I got off track. I forgot. And God goes, don't do it again. I like to think of God in bowling terms. God doesn't need us to get strikes. We just go pick up the spares. But God gives us unlimited balls. Oh, you missed. You try again. Try again. I mean, I didn't do so well in my first 12 relationships, but I finally got a strike. Got them all. Yeah, you know. But I like to think of it that way. You don't ever fail. You're always going to succeed, but you just keep trying. You just do a little better. Don't do what you did before again. That's how you learn. You learn. I know you've all heard this, but it's such a great thing. Where does good judgment come from? Experience. Where does experience come from? Bad judgment. Yeah, bad judgment. Yeah, so we've got lots of that. So the more bad judgment you've had, the wiser you are. I must be brilliant at this point. So the very important thing is to not tell yourself or others that they're unlovable. Parents not to tell their kids you're a bad boy or you're a good boy or you're a bad girl or a good girl. Your behavior, we learned that years ago. Use the word behavior. Your behavior was bad. You're perfect, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, you're lovable. That behavior doesn't work. It's inappropriate. It's not allowed. It's unacceptable. You, still perfect. Before the behavior, after the behavior, all that kind of stuff. So it's important to do that in our world as well because we want to be a mirror of people's good, of people's lovability. And it's hard to be a mirror of that when people trigger you. Anybody ever get triggered? The last thing you're feeling in that moment is really filled up with love and shining beauty and love and blah, blah. So he says, when you get triggered, it's very important to take a moment and make sure you don't react towards the person that triggered you, because what you will end up doing is taking out your anger, your frustration, your disappointment, your resentment upon that person.
Right. So like Michael Singer said this too, when you're in a situation, to lean back and be the observer. He's talking, about more than what I'm going to talk about this, but I find when I'm in a situation, if you lean back and be the observer, you no longer are in that, and it stops you. It stops your thoughts and your wanting to attack or, do something say unkind words. So it's really helpful just to remember to, when he says to lean back and be the observer, if you physically lean back, it does stop those thoughts that you're thinking.
And it helps you move from reaction to response. You become the watcher where you see, oh, my inner neurotic is feeling very upset right now and wants to hurt somebody, okay? And then you have that moment where you take that chance of not reacting, and we're going to give some examples of that because according to Greg Bear, who's one of our heroes in the writing, he's actually from Alabama, or Georgia. He's from Georgia. We've been up to his place in Rome, Georgia. And he says, at our core, we all want the same thing: to be loved, to love, and to feel lovable no matter what. And if we can learn to give everybody, whether they're our own kids or every other person, because every person is a child of God, so every person is a child that wants to feel lovable. You know how I know we're children of God? I never read anywhere that we're adults of God. Right? Children of God. So that there's an inner child in all of us, and to have that child feel lovable. So it's very, very important not to respond with anger and disappointment. Now, anger and disappointment, all that kind of stuff, does need to come out, but not at someone.
Right. And if you show anger and disappointment to a child especially, they then feel unlovable, and they feel like I'm only lovable if.
As long as I'm not inconveniencing anyone. Anybody ever felt that way? Yeah. I was definitely a troubled child who was always inconveniencing everyone.
Well,
so I heard it a lot.
I was always trying to be perfect so I wouldn't get in trouble or not feel loved by my parents.
It's funny because we both wanted the same thing. Neither one of us felt like we could get it. So I just was a maniac all the time and said, well, I'll just keep showing them that I'm unlovable. And she says, I'm not going to do anything wrong. And, neither of those are good. They're
Right.
both contortionists of some sort. You're trying to be what you think you should be instead of just being who you are. So it's, you.
No, I interrupted.
Oh, no, I was going to talk about the pool.
Oh, I was going to go a little bit before that.
Why don't you go a little before that? We have a theory in our relationship that most things that we disagree about are not really important things. So if I can realize we have a disagreement about something and it's not important, I have a great way of doing it. So here's what I'll say. I'm thinking that we should go out to dinner tonight and get some Thai food. I'm really in the mood for some nice, creamy, spicy, coconutty Thai food.
I think I want Italian.
And I go, oh my God. I do too. I just wasn't conscious of it when I said that. And then everything works out great, It's,
Right. Well, Dr. Greg Bear wrote many books titled Real Love in the Workplace, Real Love at Home, and his work is so wonderful. So what he says is if we don't feel loved up, we create these behaviors. We use these behaviors to either feel protected or to get something. And these behaviors are lying, attacking, clinging, running, and acting like a victim. And I know I've used some of those this past week that I'm not proud of, but, as long as we're aware of what those behaviors are and why we're doing those behaviors is really important. So, it's just good to be aware when you're in them. Try to get out of that as soon as possible. Otherwise, you're like hurting you're hurting others. And, and so for me, a way to do that is if I can leave the room and sit down and be with myself, I can usually get over my angry moment. And so like Armand might be kind of saying something or doing something and I get triggered. So if I can, before I react, go outside, and I say, I'm going to go outside and sit in my chair. I'm not going to come in till I feel like I know what's going on with me. I'm not abandoning the situation. I just need to know where I am. So I go outside and I sit and I don't go back in until I know what it is. Is it just me? Is it a mood swing because of menopause? I don't know. Or is it something that really needs to be talked about? And 90-something% of the time, it's me, and we don't really have to talk about it. It's just me, and I figure what that is and how to not do that again, and then I go in, and it usually works.
And 90% of the time, while I'm sitting in the house being mindful about what I said and how I said it and observing it, I find that I could have been more courteous. I see how what I said could have been fine-tuned a little bit and been more mindful than it was. And so, it's a really great technique. You can also, call a friend. I'm having a situation. I need to call a friend. I need to talk to somebody. I need to vent, but I don't want to vent on the person. Here's the deal. If you get triggered on Facebook, do not write in that moment. I've learned the hard way. Oh, man, do not write. Put it down. Talk to somebody. You may want to address that situation, but don't do it from a place of being unfilled up. Even the airplanes say that, in case of emergencies, oxygen mask, get yourself mask on first, get filled up, and then assist small children. If you have 2 children, pick your favorite. But no, they don't say that. They don't say that. But that kind of thing is that a filled up person is a more loving person, okay? Because they have more to give. Who's it? Brene Brown said that people that know what their boundaries are and are clear about setting that are often the most compassionate people. Now, when you're with somebody who's setting a boundary with you, it doesn't feel compassionate in the moment because they're kind of telling you what you're doing is not working for them. So you can think, oh, but in the long run, by being clear about boundaries and setting them, everybody wins because then you know what the boundary is. You can make peace with that. They're clear about their boundaries, and they don't have to feel like they're always getting stepped on. So some of the most compassionate people and the most loving people are the ones that are filled up, have good boundaries, good self-care. That's what the Daily Word was all about, self-care and healing. And so we heal ourselves by setting boundaries. We heal ourselves by not beating ourselves up, okay? Sometimes Angelina or I will beat ourselves up, and the other one will go, would you talk to a 5-year-old that way? And I go, no. Well, there's a 5-year-old in you right now that is hearing you be mean. And it really helps. And vice versa. She'll say, I did a terrible show the other night. If you had a 5-year-old daughter who had done that same show, would you tell her when she got home she did a terrible show? No. What would you tell her?
That you were amazing. You did a great job. And you're the best.
And you did the best you could.
And you did the best you could.
And what if she said, well, I made this one mistake on this one part?
That's okay.
See? That's all we have to do. Think of ourselves.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're getting better. But yeah, we're practicing it. This is a practice. Yes. You practice it, you get better and better at it. Okay, how about
a story?
How about a story about a pool?
Okay, I can do that. So this is an example from Greg Bear, and he says that there's people sitting by the pool, and you're having a wonderful time talking, drinking an iced tea, and some water gets splashed on you. And it's okay, people are playing in the pool right there, and so you kind of just let it go, and you're talking, having fun, and then some more water is splashed on you. It's a little bit more, and now you're getting a little frustrated, but you don't say anything. And then a whole bunch of water gets on you, and you are soaked. Now you're upset and you're angry, and you turn around to yell at these kids who are playing in the pool, and you realize it's someone who's drowning, and they're splashing to get help. Now, doesn't all of a sudden your energy and everything shifts like, oh my goodness? So Greg Bear says when people are in their behaviors, they're drowning for love. They're drowning for real love. And when they're in those behaviors, they're splashing water on you because they're drowning. So when someone does a behavior to you and you get a little agitated and all, just kind of think of, wow, they're really drowning for love. And remember that so that you don't react. You don't need to be around them if, they're acting out.
Because they can pull you underwater.
Right.
People are drowning and you get too close up. So make sure you're on solid ground if you're trying to coach them or guide them or whatever. And sometimes you need to get away, yeah.
Right. But I thought that was just a wonderful example of what goes on and what's happening. That if we see it a different way, our reaction and energy will be different.
So here's another example. So imagine you're teaching your teenage kid to drive, and you decide you're going to start off just in the driveway. You have a real long driveway, and you're just going to teach them in the driveway, not get them out on the street yet. They're getting ready to go take their exam soon, and teach them how to put it in reverse, and then they go backwards, and then they forward and come up and use the brake, and just little simple things like that. And one day they decide, I'm going to go practice without them. I can do it. And they put it in reverse, but they forget to raise the garage door before they go out. And you hear this horrible noise, probably the worst sound you've ever heard in your whole life, of the car going through the garage door. So you go outside, cars in park, kids crying, horrible moment right there. You're probably not going to be that filled up to be able to be really loving, right? So what he says, an example of what a healthy thing to do in that moment would be to, I love you. I know you didn't do it on purpose. I love you just as much as I did before you went through the garage door, but I'm having a problem right now. Go in the house. We'll talk about this later. I've got to go take care of me right now, but I love you. You're the best. You're awesome. We're going to deal with this later. Then you call your friend. You say, I want to kill my kid. Now, that's just you releasing, but not to them. You're releasing that uncomfortableness. You're releasing that anger, that frustration. Those are all normal, natural things. They're not bad things. They're only turn negative when you take them out on somebody. And that person talks with you and said, I understand it. I would probably feel the same way. But we know what's really important. Your child, the love of your child, the feeling that you have with your child. All of those things are important. And guess what? Garage doors can be replaced with metal and plastic and stuff and like that. And you know all that, but you just need somebody to help you through that. And then you get through all of that. With them, you get filled back up, and then you can go back and say to the child, I love you just as much as I did before. You're awesome. But for the next 2 years, your allowance. That's a consequence. You see the difference between a discipline and a consequence are different than taking out your anger on somebody. Discipline and consequences teach people about, things like that are good, making amends, fixing situations, those are good. But teaching people that they're only lovable as long as they do things that are right, that make you feel good, that's not good. You're lovable, and we have to deal with this situation. And that's what's good about boundaries with your adult friends. I love you. I know you didn't mean to hurt me, but when you do this and this and this, when we're together at this and this place, that doesn't work for me. That makes me not want to come and be with you. And I want to be with you. So I have to set this boundary and know that when we go out places, you're not going to do this and this and this in front of this and this and this. And then they can decide. They can decide. Dr. Greg Bear says this, you can accept the person the way they are. You can leave the person, but you can't change the person. So they have to make that decision. You can't tell the person they have to change or they're a bad person. No, you get the choice. This is what I need to be in your life. And healthy boundaries are good for everybody. It's also a great way to find out who your real friends are, because your real friends are willing to work with your boundaries more often than somebody that just wants you to be available for them all the time in that way. So now let's go to, I was going to talk a little bit about the Oprah show. What do you think about that? We saw an Oprah show. This will be the last segment before we go into a song. We saw an Oprah show. We used to have one of those things called a VCR. And we would tape the Oprah show every day, and we would watch her at 9 o'clock at night. And it was like going to church. And she had a couple of men on the show, and both men had been in jail for different crimes, but both of them were in jail for like 10 years each for taking the lives of their family members. And both of them had gotten out of jail because they had been freed and proven innocent due to DNA testing technology and stuff that proved that they were absolutely innocent the whole time. So it was a really kind of exciting thing that these men were free and didn't have to pay for a crime they didn't do. But here's the weird twist. Both men had confessed to the crime. And there was like an audible gasp with the audience, including us. Why in the world? And then I started weeping. Angelina goes, why are you crying? I said, well, I think I get it. So what happened, the men said, when they asked them, why would you confess? They said, well, it was a combination of many things. Number one, family members had passed away, so we were traumatized. Number two, we were taken in as suspects. Even though we didn't do it, we were taken in and we were put in jail, okay? And then we were convicted. But before we were convicted, we were interrogated. So part of it was we were confused, we were interrogated, we were wounded, we were traumatized. And part of it was, you know you did it. Why don't you just admit it? We'll lessen your sentence. We'll make it easier on you if you just admit it. You know you did it. Part of them said yes just to stop the voices. And I thought, oh my God, we all have a version of that. Either our own voices that try to tell us there's something wrong with us, or our parents and the media and the world tell us there's something wrong. And sometimes just to show them, okay, you say I'm that, whatever. Okay, you're right, whatever. You confess to a crime you didn't do just to stop the voices. And that is a crime. That is a crime, to confess to something that you didn't do and suffer that. So I told Angelina I was so moved by that Oprah show that I wrote a song. So this song is called Innocent, and this will be the end of the message. About this young kid who served his prison time for a crime he did not do. He gave a false confession, and when they asked him why, he said, I did not know the truth. He was innocent. Thought about my own life, how I was like that kid when they told me I was bad. I offered my confession to what they said I did and lost a childhood I once had. I am innocent. I did nothing wrong. I've been serving time for this crime for way too long. I am not to blame for what I didn't do. There is nothing I need to prove. I am innocent. We are innocent. This is the time for justice. This time we're gonna get it right. We're finally hearing the whole truth. You know what I did? I fired all my juries and got the pardon I deserve. And now I'm freeing other inmates too. You are innocent. You did nothing wrong. You've been serving time for this crime for way too long. You are not to blame for what you didn't do. There is nothing you need to prove. We are innocent. We did nothing wrong. We've been serving time for this crime for far too long. We are not to blame for what we didn't do. There is nothing we need to prove. You are innocent.
You are so lovable.
I am innocent.
Who you are is so important.
We are innocent.
You deserve so much.
There is nothing we need to prove. I am innocent.
You are worthy.
You are innocent.
You are perfect in every way.
We are innocent. And so it is. One of my pet peeves is when people use the pulpit to self-promote. I'd like to read from my book. One little small part at the very end of I now pronounce you not guilty, because it kind of ties it up. So here we are, a part of the tapestry of the universe, playing our parts perfectly and divinely. We have more than enough evidence to convince any jury of our innocence. Okay? There are no limits. However, it is impossible to be unlivable. Okay? It's impossible for us to be anything less than the divine, eternal, worthy, innocent beings we have always been. Thus, it's ultimately impossible for us to ever be truly convicted of not being enough. In that case, an acquittal of our original case is inevitable. I now pronounce us not guilty. And so it is. And now a word from our sponsor.
So they offer their CDs and book on a suggested exchange basis. Please take what you desire, give from your heart, and feel free to tithe in the future if you don't have it right now. David, would you please volunteer to collect the offering for me? Here you go. Here you go.
Love, make me an instrument of your peace. Love, make me an instrument of your peace. Love, make me an instrument of your peace. Join us if you'd like. Love, make me an instrument of your peace.
And now let us affirm together as we bless this offering. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Lovingly I give, and lovingly I receive. And now, if you would, let's stand and sing our peace song. You'll have to remember the words.
We are going to sing the peace song, and then we're going to sing the prayer for protection. We may have done this the last time we were here. I think 2018 was about the last time we were here, so that's just too darn long. Okay, here we go. We're going to rock out the peace song, but same words, same melody. There you go. Let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And before we sing the prayer of protection, I want you to notice that wasp up there. That is an example of an animal that knows how to set good boundaries. Woo! Sometimes you gotta let them know they're gonna get stung if they do something again. The light of God surrounds us. Woo! The love of God enfolds us. Ha! The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is, and all is well. Let's sing it again. The light of God surrounds us. Woo! The love of God enfolds us. Ha! The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is, and all is well wherever we are. God is, and all is well. Good golly, wherever we are. God is, and all is well. Woo! And two super